All right. Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, get yourselves ready for the premiere podcast of Baller Nerds. To give you a little background, Baller Nerds was born from a tiny sports media obsession, which then grew into a Facebook fan group driven by a nerdy passion for anything and everything legitimately baller, particularly basketball. I myself, Gary Nelson Fish, am what you might consider the OG Baller Nerd. I know. You're thinking you could be in the running for the original, but who has that trademark pending? I should probably get on that. I would say I am the self-proclaimed brand manager with a heavy focus on the super part of fandom. With me are a couple of my favorite schmoes in the world who taught me actually most of everything I know. I'll let them do the honor of introducing themselves, though. How about you, Dobyns? What you got?
All right, what's up, everyone? Ddog Dizzle coming at you here. Just want to also let everyone know that I was the most improved award winner on the freshman basketball team at Villa Park High School in 1997. I'm not sure if that means I was really crappy at the start, but I was most improved. I also made the game-winning shot in the adult league once, and that success has really prepared me and led me to this very moment. Sitting here talking basketball for the millions of fans out there. I know you guys are wondering when the meet and greet is, but we just haven't figured that out yet, so we'll just hold your horses.
Brilliant. Thank you, Dobbs. And how about you, old man?
Well, I'm just your average guy. Guy Nelson. Get it? Also my movie star name. I signed up for this simply because sports fascinates me. The opportunity to see the impossible executed on a daily basis blows my mind. And I like to talk.
We also kind of took over your living room, so you don't really have a choice.
Yeah, not too much of a choice. This is a actually comfortable podcasting environment, to say the least. At this point in time, you are going to witness our very first segment ever, All-Star 5 and a Bust. This segment can be any Baller Nerd related category such as players, franchises, fashion, etc. Each of us will first pick our All-Star 5 in that category, extra points if you consider their positions on the court. And then for every 5, each person must also pick their one bust. Starting out, we're going to go with our current players in the NBA. Oh man, the talent in this league is unreal. I kept bouncing back and forth on some of my picks, but at point guard to start with my number 1, I'm going to go Ja Morant.
You would?
I would. No, I know. Ja is explosive, to say the least. I was impressed from his rookie year, showing his athleticism in the ISO situations against the league's greatest. But this year in particular, he's adding a lot of ball movement to his game. When he has the ball and the focus is on him, he'll find the right player to put it in, like a Dylan Brooks or a Desmond Bane on the 3. It's really improved their numbers from the outside, which I think sets them up huge. Now, playing off of him in the second, the best shooter of all time. I don't think anybody has an argument against this anymore. Steph Curry. I know he's injured. Without him, it's night and day. That team changes from to a contender with Steph Curry on the courts.
I think he's changed basketball in the last 15 years more than any player.
Just the way that the whole league has shifted to the three-point line because of Steph Curry is incredible. Next up, my small forward is going to be Jason Tatum. He has that smooth separation in his game. It's an incredible thing to see that Tatum in the last few years has cemented himself as an all-time great, and maybe at some point in his career in the conversation, still not there yet, but Tatum is looking extraordinary right now. Power forward. The person who is in the conversation always is Giannis Antetokounmpo for me. I feel like a mixture between Shaq and MJ's dominance. He has that ability to move around people, but he can also body people out underneath. It's something insane to watch.
He's one of those guys the last 5 or 6 years, you could give him the MVP, but we just stopped thinking about him because we don't want to give it to him every year.
Yeah, no kidding. I know. We almost are like too obsessed with stats, but everything he does on the floor is perfect almost, except for shooting 3-pointers.
And free throws.
Yeah. Like, hurry up on your free throws, Giannis. Anyway, for my center, I think the guy who maybe should have been MVP probably the last couple of years, even though I'm in love with Joker's game, but Joel Embiid is anything you can ever imagine your best player to be. He can put up points in those same nights. He's also rebounding. He's also finding other players on the floor. I know his distribution isn't great, but it's not what I would need him for on this team. He would just need to be there available for the outside shot in case Giannis wanted to go on the inside. So I got Ja, Steph, Tatum, Giannis, and Embiid as my all-star 5. And then my bust this year, I've got to go Gobert. The man came to Timberwolves with this idea that they were going to be the top team in the league. They were looking to be a contender for the finals, and now they're just looking like he's absolutely in everybody's way.
I've never been a Gobert fan. I feel like he's 7 feet tall and can't average more than 15 points, and I know he's a good defender, but what happened in Utah? They just blew up the team, so he can't be that amazing.
And you always used to say it during the playoff runs, like Gobert would just disappear. He can't move. He has no motion to his game at all.
I personally think Gobert is kind of outstanding. Who else could disrupt the league and still make the All-Star game?
Disrupt the league by shutting it down entirely, ladies and gentlemen.
Completely. Touched every microphone in front of him. I think he touched the one I'm talking into now.
Yeah, what jumps out to me, the last point on Gobert, is the series against the Clippers a couple years ago. They were running him. They were bringing him out there, and he was guarding Batum, and they were just running a screen and roll, and they would switch, and then he'd be on PG or Kawhi, and they just ripped him, and they just took apart the Jazz. And ever since then, I can't get on board with him being some amazing top player ever.
Yeah, completely ineffective in the playoffs, it seems, Gobert. And they were running with him thinking that he was going to be the piece that Cat needed for rebounding, and he's not even doing that for them. So
clogging the key is all he's doing.
Ugh. Yeah, no, it's kind of gross. Okay, now on to Dobyns. Who you got in your court? You think you could take me on?
All right, well, we'll see. Not much defense anywhere, but that's okay. NBA players don't really play defense that much anyway. So right now I got Steph at the point guard, which, isn't a prototypical point guard because he's going to run off screens on my team for the most part. Kind of does what he does at Golden State. But best shooter ever. He's also a mismatch nightmare. All right, at the kind of the real point guard is or one of them will be Luka. Because I hope Luka's handing the ball a little bit more, and then Steph's running off screens. Luka kind of needs the ball in his hands. We all kind of know that, so I don't want to take the ball out of his hands, but I would need him to pass a little bit more. He's kind of Harden-like right now on the Mavs, but they don't have any other good players.
Yeah, I mean, who is he going to pass to?
Yeah, nobody. Then another sort of point guard, we got Jokic, the Joker. I like him in the high post, running the offense through him, kind of like a Draymond Green that the Golden State Warriors do, but he's not crazy, and he's better, and he's younger than Draymond. So I kind of like that. I imagine him averaging, 5 or 6 assists a game on this squad.
Yeah, he's not crazy unless he sees a Morris brother.
Oh, yeah. I think that I would take. Who'd you guys take in that fight?
Oh, man. Honestly, is it both Morris brothers?
Yeah, 2-on-1.
Oh, 2-on-1. I got you. I got to go the Morris brothers. And
I think. All right, and then I go Jason Tatum. That's the one that Gary and I both agree on. I guess we had Steph as well, but I was really close with picking Durant, right? And Durant's actually been picking it up ever since I took him off. But I think Tatum is everything Durant is at this point, but better. I'm not saying he'll be better than Durant overall and the top players ever, because I don't know. But as of right now, today, 2022, he's the best player on the best team. I mean, I can't leave him off this list.
Well, and he pays attention to defense, too.
Yeah, he has picked up his defense a lot, which is good because speaking of defense, I got Giannis, who can switch on anyone and can guard anyone. It's kind of he's a kind of a no-brainer, but I just wrote, we got to keep him off the line. So overall, this squad, everyone can shoot besides Giannis, right? So it would be a kind of a nightmare matchup for any other team. I like Ja too. He's kind of my one I left off, but ultimately I just thought that Luka handling the ball with Steph running off screens would be a pretty big nightmare. And then my bust, Kawhi Leonard.
Ooh, I knew you were gonna do it.
I just have to. And if I were saying top 10 players right now in the NBA, he wouldn't be in my top 10. And I don't even know if he'd be in my top 20. And that's not, is his talent top 10? Sure. But does he even want to play? Does he care? I don't know. What's his deal?
I don't think he knows his deal. I don't think he does.
Yeah.
It's the best point. I think Kawhi Leonard has been caught in between this theory of load management that has served him well in the early part of his injury, and now is doing nothing as far as like securing a playoff spot or a good position leading into the finals. I will say one person that we didn't mention on this list, though, Zion Williamson, is hunting for a spot, and he doesn't deserve to be a sixth man on this roster. That guy, once he's ready, is going to maybe reform this league one more time again.
Yeah, Zion running that point forward for the Pelicans is dirty right now. They're must-see TV. All right, welcome to the next segment, everyone. I will be running this one, and it's called Contenders or Pretenders. Basically, we're going to look more closely at who actually has a chance to win the title this year. Who's got what it takes as a balanced team, who thinks they're ready, but according to us, they're not. This is called Contender or Pretender. I'll start us off with the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to go with a push on them. The good, Chris Paul. They've been to the playoffs before. Booker can go off at any time, ready for primetime MVP candidate. The players have matured. They've aged. They've improved, right? Bridges is better. Ayton's better. Cameron Johnson's, if he comes back soon, he was better starting. The West is wide open this year, right? Golden State's 14 and 15. There's lots of injuries. No one's running away with it. Here's the bad. Chris Paul just came back and has not looked good. So is he over the hill? Can he do it? Cameron Johnson's hurt. Jay Crowder's on the team, but not on the team. So they're losing their two starting power forwards. They're not deep, and they rely on Booker way too much. And I just worry about all his minutes, kind of Luka-esque. And then now he's getting hurt. But a wild card is a trade. Kuzma, you out there?
Honestly, I'm leaning for the Phoenix Suns to be a pretender this year. I think their management is a big problem. They're looking to sell the team right now. Jay Crowder is on the way out. It kind of destroyed everything from the inside out because Ayton was also asking for a trade early on this year, backed out of that. Booker seems to be the only person in their franchise that wants to hold on to the idea of a championship. And I'm with you. If it's not a trade, then they're a pretender in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think they have it. All right, next team, Denver. I say they're a contender. I feel like one of these years they have to put it all together. Why not this year? They make the playoffs every year. Ever since Melo got there, basically, they've made the playoffs. And it's just, they have some injuries, right? Michael Porter Jr.'s got to stay healthy or come back. He's not healthy right now. Murray looks pretty good. Jokic is just as good. But how long is he going to stick around if they don't win? They have a good supporting cast. They added KCP, some good role players. The West is wide open. I just feel like, why not?
Yeah, no, 100% contender. I actually, before the league started, had them in the number 1 seed simply because Jamal Murray was going to be healthy. And Michael Porter Jr. is in and out. We'll see what he can do for them. Like, I'm thinking Jokic finally has his co-stars around him. And you were right. This is the make or break year for Denver with the Joker. He's not going to want to stay much longer if they're not going to deliver. I'm thinking Joker wants to find a championship, but it's a make or break year for Denver. If they don't do it, they might blow up the whole roster next year.
Yeah, I think they'd give it a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, this is their big chance, and Jokic, they got to get him while he's in his prime. All right, next squad, we got Philly. I can't say they're a pretender. I just can't do it with them. They're hard sometimes. Like I've seen them play a lot this week. I think actually the only contenders in the East, just for this podcast, are Boston and Milwaukee. Well, Harden, I mean, is he healthy? I guess he's healthy. Is he just older? Is he hurt? Is he worn down? I just don't know how good he is. And Embiid gets hurt a lot. Like Embiid's great. Don't get me wrong, but he gets hurt a lot. Is he reliable? Is he going to play 7-game series back to back if they get there? They have a lot of injuries. Maxi's hurt right now. I just don't think they can do it in regards to the playoffs, beating Milwaukee, beating Boston in a 7-game series. I don't see it happening.
You're right. I mean, they get punked by even the Heat when they show up against them. So Philly has had that stigma about them. And personally, I gave them a wash because playoffs nowadays boils down to if everybody's healthy. If everybody's not healthy on the teams that they're playing against and Philadelphia walks into the playoffs as a healthy squad, they're a contender. I still see them in the finals. If there's even one major injury on the Celtics or if Antetokounmpo goes down, they're walking in. I love Embiid. I don't know why. I don't like Harden, but I love Embiid, and I would love to see him break the stigma of him not being a champion because each and every year he gets so much closer to this idea that he is that dominant player that also has the outside shot. And for some odd reason, his squad falls apart on him. And maybe it is him. I don't know. But it's another one of those things. Philly has like one or two more years with this experiment, and come on, guys. Like, you should give up on it after a while.
All right, next is Gary's Memphis Grizzlies.
Hey.
And I go contender.
Hey.
I kind of feel like they're similar to the Suns in the sense that they've experienced the playoffs. I think they peaked a little early. Like, I don't think they were there last year, but they got that experience. And then they also were in the bubble and got to the play-in game. They're confident. They play really hard. Their defense needs to improve a little bit, but they are really deep. They have 5 players averaging double digits. My biggest worry is playoffs slow down, as we all know. And so they're a transition team, right? They want the ball in Jaw's hands. They want to run. They want to have him go to the rim, kick the ball out, get some threes. I worry about their half-court offense in the playoffs, but I do think they're a contender and they can win.
Actually, you make a great point. I've seen them hurt in late minutes of a playoff game because they want to go this ISO ball and they want to play. I mean, they're trying to transition to a slower game, but if you don't make that point, if you don't make that 2-pointer at the end of a playoff game, you're out. And that's what happened to them last year. Is Ja tried to go up for it and he missed, and they would have been in it last year. But this year, however, I'm all the way on a contender. Ja has changed his mentality. He loves the ball, but he also loves his support around him. I'm thinking if Jaren Jackson Jr. is healthy and you have him and Steven Adams under your basket, every other team on the West is going to have a real dogfight trying to put in any sort of points against them come the playoff time, because if they can slow down the same way as the other teams and start focusing on defense, you might see Memphis start shutting down teams more so this year than trying to outpace them.
Yeah, lastly on that, I would love to see a Ja versus Zion conference finals.
Oh, dude, a conference final with John Zion. Yeah, no kidding.
All right, next one are the Cavs. I have them as a pretender. Think of them as Memphis last year, but not as good. I think they need that experience first. I love their moves. I love Mitchell. I just don't think they're ready yet. They're a little too inconsistent. Their players are a little young. I don't think they're ready to compete with Boston and Milwaukee. There's just no way I would pick them. I don't think I'd pick them to beat Philly too in a 7-game series. I think they struggle on the offensive side a little bit, but they're really solid on defense, and just I think let's put them off until next year, and then I think they're a real contender next year.
Dang, I'm like fully flip-flopped on this one. I think Cavs figured it out this year. Not to say that there aren't other great teams on the East, and not to say they don't have stuff to work on, but you replace kind of shooting with shooting in Donovan Mitchell. You got rid of some of like your potent scorers off the bench, and you replace it with an all-star who's putting up like 30 points a game this year is like crazy to me. He has backing up him Garland, Mobley, LeVert, who are also potentially 20-plus point players in a given night. To me, then, you underneath the basket have Jarrett Allen, who is like the new and improved JaVale McGee, just always in the right place at the right time, and has that like 70s basketball player vibe about him, which I think is necessary for a team to go all the way. The one X factor for Cavs to me is Kevin Love. He's brand loyal. That's huge for your fan morale. That's huge for your team morale. And he is still being super effective in his role as a 3-and-D guy. Like I find Kevin Love to be a surprise in this year as far as the depth of the Cavs go.
Yeah, I think Mobley has a really, really strong future too. He's got a lot of glimpses of greatness. I see him really like producing well next year. All right, last team that we got here is the Pelicans. I say they're a pretender, but they're must-see TV. Every time they play, whoever they play. I just don't think they can contend for the title yet. I say that, and they're the first place in the West right now. But I just think they could be. I think they could be top 4 or 5 in the West at the end. Zion needs to show me a full year of not getting hurt before I pick them for anything. BI is hurt right now. They just need to be consistent. I could be proven wrong if they're all healthy and they're comfortable playing with each other. But I think next year they could be top 2.
Yeah, well, a couple moves, and they can be really dangerous. And I say a couple moves only because some of their players that they were expecting big things out of, CJ McCollum, just a few off the bench, are sort of underperforming for them right now. But then you have these role players around Zion that are just keeping them in the first place position, like you said. So I personally am going to put them as a wash this year. It's not that they're not hunting for it. If any team on the West shows any ounce of weakness versus a healthy Pelicans, they're in it. I don't see why Zion can't stack up against any of the superstars. Brandon Ingram, they swear, is a walking bucket. So prove that to me. In the playoffs, if Brandon Ingram can show up 30 points a night, they're a contender. I'm washing them out because I don't think he can. But it's on Brandon Ingram's shoulders to see if he can be the secondary to Zion, I feel like.
Yeah, I think they had an awesome series last year against the Suns, and that was must-see TV. So, I mean, they have a lot to build on, too. I think they'll make some noise in the playoffs. I just don't see them being crowned the NBA champions.
Yeah, good point. I get you. Okay, old man. Hey, contenders or pretenders? I know we sort of glossed over you, but who do you see as your contender? Who do you see as your pretender?
Well, as my pretender, the Dallas Mavericks. I just can't see Luka doing it all by himself. And then as my contender, the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm sorry, but pound for pound, if a team stays completely healthy, the Los Angeles Lakers are huge contenders to win it all.
They're missing a little bit of depth, but AD and Bron are playing great, and their 6th man of the year right now, Russell Westbrook. I can't disagree. Right.
They got to get there.
Yeah, and they also have to get there.
I'm going with healthy.
Well, good points, both of you, contenders or pretenders. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for maybe my favorite segment of the day. This is out of a genuine concern. We take a deep look at some of the players, the coaches, the teams, full franchises in the NBA, and we ask the question, hey, are you okay?
All right, it's my guy, Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi?
Are you all right?
Are you okay, Kawhi?
Did he hear you?
Okay, I'll start with Kawhi. I would love to. I could go on forever, but he's not a player you build your team around. He's a player that you add to your team. So he's the player that went to Toronto. He went to an already good team, and then he serves as a missing piece. He is not someone that you build your entire team around.
You're right. I think his play is absolutely special. That guy will add something to your franchise that might put you over the top as far as a championship goes, except for the fact that he has to be playing. And sometimes I tune into the Clippers just to see if Kawhi is on the court. What is Kawhi doing? Are you okay?
I actually feel bad for the Clippers that they had the right idea. I don't blame them for signing him, but I just feel bad for them because, I mean, they're all in on this guy and they got to see it out.
Yeah. I mean, is he a starter? Is he your 4th quarter guy? Is he 6th man of the year? Like, what are you, Kawhi? Have you figured it out?
You know, I'm sure he's legitimately hurt with the whole ACL thing. But I mean, if that's the case, is he ever going to be okay? And then you look back, has he ever been okay since he got hurt on Zaza Pachulia? play? Like, has he ever been okay since then? I don't think so.
Half of me was thinking this whole load management stuff was BS. This was something new that he created just so he didn't have to play basketball for their paycheck. But at that same token, he really can't get back on the court. Lou is pulling his minutes regularly because they want to make sure that he stays healthy because he can't get back to 100%.
Yeah. So going off of that, he's played in 114 out of 176 games so far on the Clippers, which is about 65%. Is that good or bad? I don't know. You guys be the judge, but
65 gets you into the playoffs. 65% of your games won. If he's winning all those games, and sadly he's not. When he does play, he's good. He's great, but he's not a for sure win. It's not like, oh my God, if Kawhi's on the court, you're gonna get that W. The other thing with Kawhi is, with all these new awards out there, I'm thinking they need the load management award, and they've got to call it the Claw at some point, because if there is one thing that Kawhi has been great at is shifting every player's mentality to, I also want to ride the bench this year.
Would the Clippers do it all over again if they could?
They don't have a championship, so yes.
Yeah, probably. Good point. His SGA looks super good over there on the Thunder.
Oh my God, I know. If you could have held on to him, just restarted from that point, it would have been a completely different squad. We don't even know, but You're right about that.
Paul George will get him there.
PG playoff,
playing some good ball this year.
He is. That guy is an outstanding regular season player. I haven't bought into him as a playoff player yet, but Clippers have something. It's just when Kawhi's healthy. And we have to know, Kawhi Leonard, for the sake of fandom, are you okay? All right. Moving right along. This is a segment that you guys all know and love very well if you guys are any kind of basketball fans on social media platforms. This is called Start, Bench, Cut. Now, if you guys have seen the memes out there, you get 3 choices. We're going to get a little creative. Usually it's 3 players, and you give the starting role, you give the bench role, and you give the off the team role to one of these players. However, since we're baller nerds and we don't like to do things traditionally, we're also going to mix things up and do like coaches or fashion statements and get a little more fun with our start, bench, cuts. But to start it out, I will do a very, very typical one for you guys. I'm going to go 2019 draft class. We've got 3 players with very similar contracts and in almost similar roles for their teams. Do you start? Do you bench? Do you cut? Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, and RJ Barrett. Yeah, let's hear it from you, Dobbs.
All right, well, I'll start off with the cut. RJ, you're getting cut, pal. You're on the Knicks. I've seen you play like once in the past 2 years because you're never on TV and you're on the Knicks. Tyler Hero and Jordan Poole signed almost the exact same contract. Tyler Hero signed it first, and then Jordan Poole got his deal. I'm going to go with starting Jordan Poole and benching Tyler Hero. I think Tyler Hero's got a little Kuzma in him, like kind of likes the glamour and the fashion and partying in South Beach a little bit more than actually playing. And I think Jordan Poole's got that it factor. He's a dog, and I just don't see that in Tyler Hero. I don't know how much he loves basketball.
Whoa, okay, yeah, no, I love this then because I'm kind of the other way. However, I'm going to shake this up entirely. In this one, I'm going to start Tyler Hero. I think the kid had so much pressure on him when the Miami Heat was starting to be conference finals, and it's starting to look like they were hunting for a championship, and they wanted him to be a secondary piece. Come on, man! Like you're not a all-star per se. However, you just put up 40 points in a night. You just did that back to back with a 30-point performance. Since the first time it's ever happened since Dwayne Wade for the franchise, like he's got potent scoring. He's got numbers underneath the basket. He rebounds better than Jordan Poole. His assists are right on point with both of them. And to me, I don't watch a lot of the Knicks, but from seeing RJ Barrett's numbers, he's a role player that keeps them involved. I'm gonna bench RJ Barrett, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, but that means I'm cutting Jordan Poole, and Jordan Poole has a ring on his finger. He showed up big for the championship with Golden State last year. However, this year in his sixth man role, he seemed completely lost. He can't do it unless if he's in the starting lineup, and you can't put him in the starting lineup next to Curry. They both want the ball. Like it just doesn't seem like he is egoless. And if you want a player to take a role and take your team to the championship, you need to be egoless. And funny that you say Hero's very into the fashion and all of that. For his team, he seems more egoless than Jordan Poole.
All right. Well, I'm okay with the Tyler Hero Jordan Poole argument, but you're telling me, so if you switch Jordan Poole and RJ Barrett, let's say Jordan Poole is on the Knicks right now. He's averaging 25 on the Knicks. RJ Barrett can't even do that, and he's on the Knicks.
He's like a 20-point player, RJ. He's like floating around there.
So he doesn't have horrible stats. So he's got 19.2 points per game,
Right.
5.6 rebounds, and about 3 assists, shooting 41%. So that's
Now,
pretty bad.
To me, it's the rebounding that both RJ and Tyler add to it that Jordan Poole really doesn't pay attention to much in his game at all. So I would just say RJ, as far as a team player, edges out Jordan Poole in my eyes.
I think Jordan Poole would go after more rebounds, but he doesn't want to get punched by Draymond again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
under the basket. That's
Great point. That's a great point.
But yes, so overall, no, you do make a great point. Jordan Poole is still probably the hotter take over RJ Barrett. I just don't like what he's been doing to the Golden State Warriors this year. Moving on right along, we're going to go to teams in the tank race. Now, this is from Victor Wembanyama's perspective. Do you start, bench, cut which team? The Pistons, the Spurs, or the Houston Rockets?
Why don't you start us off there, Gary?
All right. On this one, now, yes, I know. My dad is from Detroit, so I grew up kind of a closet Pistons fan. Sorry, Lakers. But the Pistons, to me, are also the team that looks the most promising and needs that that tall threat that can score the basket. They got rid of Kelly Olynyk. He was kind of that outside three guy that could also defend underneath. They got Jalen Duren this year, who's been a rebounding wizard, and he's 19 or 18 years old. I don't know. He's a kid, but you put one more tall threat that can score from the outside on the Pistons, and I think they're right in it. I'm going to bench Houston Rockets because they're right behind them in that same regard. They've had high draft picks in the last two draft classes. They're a team that any moment can potently score and outscore some of the best teams in the league right now. So Wembanyama would want to probably find himself on the Houston Rockets. Spurs are obviously, I think, the team that you cut simply because Greg Popovich is on his way out. He would be maybe the only reason that you might want to start with the franchise is to see if Popovich can develop something around you. He did it with Tim Duncan, but Duncan had Robinson, and Duncan had two other Europeans that were just like, or I guess one was South American. Still, those guys were unreal for the Spurs, and they don't have that right now. Wembanyama would be a solo dolo kind of situation. He's not going to want that to start his career.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Mostly I'll go quick because of that. I agree. Start the Pistons. I think they just have the best roster. Ivy, Bay, obviously Cade Cunningham's hurt, but he'd be back next year. Bogdanovich, I don't know if he'd be there next year, but they got something to work with. I think that would energize a pretty, Detroit's a good basketball town. They love love the Pistons a lot, so I think that would be huge for them. I'll go bench Houston. They have a decent roster. Houston's a decent town. So I think that's a decent place. And the Spurs, you think back to the Spurs and Tim Duncan and all that sort of stuff. They got to do homegrown players, right? San Antonio is not a big free agent destination. So, and Wembanyama probably doesn't want to go to the Spurs, but if the Spurs were to get the number 1 pick and they drafted him, then maybe they'd be able to get some players over there and they'd be able to, get back up again and do a playoff team. But I can see him. That would be definitely the cut for me, the Spurs.
I would have to go with the cut is Houston for me. The Spurs is on the bench because I think of somebody like Wembanyama. Valderrama.
Hold on. Wait, what was that name again?
Your mama?
Valderrama. Wilbur Valderrama.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't he on the 70s show? Wilbur Valderrama.
Wilmer Valderrama.
Anyway.
No, Victor Wembanyama.
No, Victor Wembanyama. And I know he's an outstanding player. But if he's in the light of Kobe Bryant, Kobe would choose the Spurs because he would want to play for Greg Popovich.
Yeah, and if you have a chance still, I'm with you on that.
But the Pistons are the team to go with only because
the cave?
that I would be happy for many years.
So selfish.
It's selfish. and undeniably. It's a total selfish move.
Next up, ladies and gentlemen, give us a beat. We're going to be inviting a very special guest with us. His name is Roland Padilla. Let's patch him in right now. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, for our Praise Race segment, we have Roland Padilla with us. This is a monthly segment that we do, and we choose the end of the year awards, the top candidate for each category. Roland is extremely knowledgeable in the art of basketball, so he's going to be our first celebrity guest for this segment, and he's going to break down each category or each award itself, the top candidate, and then we'll revisit that each podcast to see how we did on the selection. So let's hear it from you, man, or actually give us a little background of who you are.
Yeah, so as you know, feature on the pod, Ddog Dizzle, Dobbs, however you know him. So that's how we have that acquaintance. But in terms of my basketball knowledge, I've been balling since I was like 3 or 4 years old. I led our freshman team in 3-pointers, and then unfortunately did not make the JV team because I was too overweight from football. But even to this day, I still ball 3 to 5 times a week. Try to watch as much basketball as I can. I'm a League Pass subscriber. In my college days, I was a blog writer for a website called Clutch Points. Started off as a Thunder focused writer, eventually branched out to all teams, and now currently working in the analytics department for a sports media company. So I love all sports, and especially basketball.
Dude, that's awesome. Hey, why the Thunder in particular? Why was that your start?
It was just because I was following one of their pages, and they had a posting for looking for writers who were interested in helping us, and that's it was right. And when I was in college, it was the time when it was Westbrook and Durant kind of popping off, so they were they were the upcoming team. A really fun team to watch, and it was a really fun experience. So we'll take it over to these newly named awards, which I'll start off by saying I'm not really a fan of how they changed the names on these. I think they should have just left it how it is. I don't necessarily see the point. I mean, I guess MJ being MVP makes sense, but going into those top couple favorites, if you were to look at the favorites right now in Vegas, they're always going to have Tatum, Doncic, Giannis, Jokic. It makes sense. Tatum's the best player on the best team. Doncic has just been unreal with not much help. And then Giannis is just a freak of nature. And then Jokic just continues to put up those monster triple-doubles night in, night out. It doesn't really matter who he's going against unless it's the Lakers like it was last night. But I really feel for me, I feel there's a dark horse in this race that people aren't really addressing. I think it has to do with his injury history in the past, which is Zion. So I feel if the Pelicans can finish with this number 1 seed, and Zion continues to put up these monster numbers with these efficient stat lines, he's a shoo-in for MVP this year. But it really comes down to how the Pelicans finish the season. But we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Well, yeah, Dobbs, what do you got?
So starting off with the awards, I feel the same way. So I think this is the NBA. Don't get me wrong, Jordan I think is the GOAT, but if you take MVPs, Kareem's won more MVPs than Jordan. So I think that's a little interesting. But Kareem already has that. It's a community service award or something named after him, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, they probably stuck it that way.
But anything to promote MJ, I'm sure the league's gonna do it.
Right.
I think Giannis, media's kind of tired of him in a way, and I hate to say it. So it's and this word's kind of political, and so I don't I don't see him. I mean, he's monster numbers. I just don't see
Right.
them giving it to him. I love what you said about Tatum. He's the best player on the best team, and he's never won it. Yeah, and then I think with Luka, I don't know what seed you guys see them making in the playoffs, but probably lower seed, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So it might
he
be
needs
tough.
help.
But if you take him off that team, they're like the 12th seed. So
I sometimes feel like Luka is he can't be played with. Like there's not a star out there that can pair with him. But the moment Dallas figures that out, that's going to be a dangerous setup.
Yeah, I personally I think Luka cannot be the best player on a championship team. That's just how I feel. Like he needs a one, and like I don't think he'll ever be willing to sacrifice that.
the other night I said this to Gary. Don't the current Dallas Mavericks have a little James Harden Houston vibes to them?
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately,
But the thing is, James was more of an automatic bucket getter than Doncic was. Like Doncic, I feel like has to really exert himself and like be very finesse. Harden will just blow by you or step back in your face. Like
Yeah.
I think peak Harden is above peak Luka so far in my mind.
And Westbrook's not really. Oh, I mean, Dinwiddie's not quite the Westbrook that Harden had. I feel like in the small ball scenario.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh yeah, or Chris Paul for that matter. But
true. Yeah, good point.
But yeah,
All right.
yeah, but you can definitely move on to the Wilt Award now.
Yeah,
We're
Wilt
looking at
Chamberlain, the rookie, right?
That's a rookie of the that's a rookie of the
Okay.
year. So for me, as it stands, it's really a two-man race. It's Paolo Banchero and Benedict Mathurin. Not sure how much Pacers basketball y'all watch, but I tend to watch a lot. I'm a big fan of Rick Carlisle and the system. But Mathurin, he's really a bucket. The only thing that goes against him is he comes off the bench, whereas Paolo starts. But if you do watch the two and compare them, Paulo is already much more polished. But Benedict has that dog in him. I don't know if you remember, he's the one who called out LeBron before the season, and he actually won their head-to-head matchup.
That matchup, yeah. I know
Yeah,
LeBron's still not better than the dudes.
Yeah, but if I had to have make a pick right now today, I'm going Paulo, just because it's just so easy for him. He just has the natural gifts. He's so big, so tall, so strong. He has a pure stroke. But yeah, that's my choice for the
No
Wilt
kidding.
Award.
I mean, well, he didn't get to go head-to-head against Chet this year, unfortunately. That kind of redshirts him for even the chance to be a Rookie of the Year. But Paolo was the clear number one favorite in the draft. Like, he's showing up on a team that looks like they're going to be scary in a couple years. So
Yeah, I was surprised on
I'm
how
with you.
polished he looks.
Yeah, no kidding. He's like already ready. Yeah, like a LeBron. He like came into the league already ready for the NBA.
Yeah.
Pretty
By the way,
wild.
they got this award right. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 37 points per game his rookie year.
And
So I
like
think,
20 rebounds, right? Or
so I
something
think
like
this
that.
award is okay.
It's just crazy.
On like 47 minutes per game.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a rookie, like that's not prime. That's him entering the league. Will
Yeah,
Chamberlain was.
I go Paolo
monster.
though. For sure, I agree with you 100%. I think I love Mathurin, but I think that 6-man thing kind of gets in the way. And I think at the end of the year, barring injury, Paolo's going to average 22, 8, and 4, something like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty damn good for a rookie.
Good class though, man. There's a lot of good kids out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Jaden Ivey's been a good one. He's not.
Thank
he's
you
not
for
at that
mentioning it.
level.
I wanted to say it. Yeah.
he's good.
No, Jaden Ivey's a baller.
Yeah. Followed up
Keegan
by
Murray.
Duren behind him. Murray. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean, and there's so much talent.
Yeah,
Maybe
Jabari
that's definitely.
Houston too,
Yeah.
Jabari. Like they have a system that's building up to be maybe something scary too eventually.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something you guys can do a whole nother segment on another day.
No kidding. I know just rookies.
This insane rookie class. But yeah, moving on to the Jerry West Award, the Clutch Player Award. I'm not too much of a fan of this award personally. I feel like this is like an award where like they're trying to give Jimmy Butler an award or something. But my first thought when I heard Clutch Player was immediately Dame. I'm not even a Dame fan, Damian Lillard.
Okay.
So I wrote that down, and then I went to look at the Clutch stats, and like the stats kind of just back it up. He's averaged, besides Delano Blanton, who's just like a bench player who has 2 games played in the clutch. He's averaging the most points in the clutch out of any players.
Matt Ryan. Anybody clutch?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like the stats back that claim up, and everyone's always known Dame as this clutch player. And if you ever tune into any of those like close games at the end, it seems like he's always the one hitting those step back threes. It's just like it's a given, like it's Dame time.
Dame
But
time.
yeah, I mean, DeMar DeRozan's also up there, but he's also just like an insane bucket getter. Like he can get to his spot anytime he wants and hit his shot. But I feel like this award kind of rewards mediocrity in a sense because these players who are going to be in these clutch situations is because their teams aren't like dominating and they're like having to close out these close games. Like you're never going to see Tatum have like leading in these clutch categories because he doesn't need to because the Celtics are so good. But if you watch the Celtics versus Lakers game earlier this week, he absolutely destroyed the Lakers in the clutch. So
Right.
I mean, I feel like that's why I feel like this award's very skewed and but like I said, Damian Lillard would be my choice.
It's a weird award. Did you see last night Kyrie's shot at the buzzer? That was his first ever game winner ever.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah.
It's just a weird award, and I'm almost wondering, is it like a social media, Instagram sort of award? Like, I don't know. I just feel like
I'm kind of with you. It's almost like you're trying to feed an award to specific players in the league who show up big, but I mean, some do. Like a Jimmy Butler is always that guy that in the clutch moments, you might want to put the ball in his hands, but Damian Lillard, I think, is like historically maybe still in the league and the clutch guy of the last 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah, if you think about highlights from the last 7 or 8 years, all those Thunder games that him and Westbrook going back and forth, making those 30-foot shots.
Crazy. Yeah,
definitely think about him.
Yeah. So definitely. So moving on to the John Havlicek Award. That's the sixth man now.
Okay.
I know I'm biased as a Lakers fan, but just the stuff we've seen Russell Westbrook do in a short time coming off the bench has been pretty incredible. And I say in order for him to get this award, the Lakers have to like not be in the play-in, so 16 and above, and he has to continue being efficient. Continue getting those like Rajon Rondo type triple doubles. He doesn't need to score 30 anymore, but he just needs to make the smart plays, which he's getting better at.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's really bought into the system. I feel like a lot of credit goes to Darvin Ham. I feel like they probably have some kind of connection deeper than what we see. But like I said earlier, Benedict Mathurin also can be a candidate for that. He has the most 20-point games off the bench of anyone in the league. He just got his 13th game last night with 20 points off the bench. So like I said, he's like 19 years old, averaging just under 20 points a game off the bench, which is just ridiculous. He's just a bucket getter. And then I think another one in consideration is Malcolm Brogdon, who doesn't get talked about a lot, but he really helps. He really helps that second unit for the Celtics flow. He's shooting, I believe, like 47% from three, which is insane. And he's just a really smart, headsy player. Plays like phenomenal defense. But in my biased opinion, I'm going Russell Westbrook.
I like that Brogdon, just because he's not going to get enough minutes to probably be in the top two, but he's so important to that Celtics team.
Yeah. Well, and I also told Dobyns the other day before they played the Lakers, like, oh, this team, they're shooting crazy from three, and then they ended up having like an awful 3-point game. But Brogdon with that 47% from beyond the arc is just like, I don't know, he's getting pure looks, or he's figured out something coming off that bench is really, I think, helping them stay in first place is their depth right now.
He guards their best player too, which is huge.
Right.
And I've been a huge hater of Russ, I'll have to say, and I still kind of am in the sense that I agree with you. He's probably number one, but you're also paying your six man $47 million.
You are. He is getting triple doubles off the bench though right now. I mean, that's an impressive stat line.
He deserves it. The only other, I got a name for you guys that didn't come up. Jordan Poole. I know Steph just got hurt, so now he's going to start.
Right. I see, not there. I'm gonna dog you and say, how about Kawhi Leonard? Is he a sixth man this year? Because like I don't know if he's putting the minutes to it. He's still playing clutch minutes, but it's enough for just fourth quarter ball.
Kawhi Leonard, man, we could do a podcast just on him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Don't get me started.
But I'm with you on Russ. As a Laker fan, I'm gonna give it to you. Like, yeah, we paid our money for our sixth man of the year. That's for sure.
And I bet Vegas betting line. I don't have him in front of me. I bet Russ is first right now. I mean, he's put in good numbers since he's been the six man.
Yeah.
No. After I did this, I did look, and he was number one, and I think Benedict was two. Mm-hmm. So, and then moving on to like the Dream, the Hakeem Olajuwon Award, Defensive Player of the Year. This one, I feel like there hasn't been as many standout defenders individually. Like Gobert is always in the conversation. Yeah. But I don't. He's not a factor really this year. Like the Bucks have really relied on their defense this year. I think they have the second best defense in terms of rating, and I think everyone's gonna like give that praise to Giannis because he's won the award before. But I think a lot of people are forgetting like Brook Lopez is just such an anchor down low. Like he's an amazing shot blocker. He can actually move his feet better than you would think for how big he is, and that allows the Bucks to take more gambles like on the defensive end, play more aggressive because they kind of know he has their back. So that's kind of why. And then if you look at the advanced metrics, typically all the defensive ratings, the top 10 is just fluttered with like small guards because like their guys are shooting from farther away. Brooks the only like center in the top 10. I think he's like 6th in defensive rating. The other closest center is like Ivica Zubac. I think he's like 16. So I think that just speaks volumes right there that he's up in that conversation with like these top small guards in terms of how many points he's allowing. So my pick is Brook Lopez, and I think it's time for him to get some love.
For sure, yeah. Actually, he started the league, or this year, I should say, with MVP numbers, and that's more from a defensive angle. His efficiency underneath the basket is really awesome, but rebounding and blocking shots is kind of crazy. However, can I say that they just got blown out by Memphis? And
I saw that. They're doing the wave.
It was their defensive effort too. I swear that they kept them to like 70 some odd points or something that game. I was like, what? That was crazy to me.
I want to touch on Lopez. Lopez is an interesting guy. He's been around for a while, right? If you guys remember when he first came in, he didn't shoot any threes. He didn't do anything, but he was that's when the NBA was kind of changing, right? Big guys needed to start shooting, and he all of a sudden showed up and started shooting threes. And if I recall, I don't think he blocked a lot of shots when he was younger too. And so I'll give him a lot of props for
as far as
staying relevant.
Especially to have like an example of like a spliced like genetic copy of you in the league who's not excelling in those ways. Like Robin is an outstanding player, but it really goes to show that Brook put in that time and effort on both ends of the court, and he's getting honestly the accolades for it. I think he should be up for defensive player.
Yeah. The only other wing that comes to mind, and they're not playing that well on the Raptors, is OG Anunoby. But he's not like super sexy or anything. But.
The choice is a safe bet, maybe. Yeah, one you would take home to mom, I guess. Yeah,
but he's a good defender.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I just feel like the individuality of the defense is just not there anymore. Like Patrick Beverley's nothing anymore. Like it's not. I don't know I think the game's changing, and
I know we didn't even talk about Draymond. Good point.
No, or Gobert. That. I mean, I think I would love for Brook Lopez to win. He would deserve it. As of right now, 100%.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Most Improved Award. That's after George Mikan.
Right.
So for me, it was kind of like a no-brainer when I just thought of it before even looking at the stats. It was, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So last year he was 24.5 points a game, and right now he's up at 31, which is just insane increase. But I mean, typically the Most Improved Award was always reserved for a role player, I feel like. But last year we kind of changed the mold by giving that to Ja Morant. So now I feel like it's okay to reward expected progression, and SGA has exceeded those expectations. So I feel like he's definitely suitable for this award. Another underdog, you can say. I would say like he's probably number 2 on the list, but like if you look at the odds, it's probably a bigger gap between them. It'd be Tyrese Halliburton. He's really made a lot of steps in the right direction. He's putting up crazy assist numbers. He's like facilitating. He's getting buckets. He's just doing whatever it takes. And the Pacers really aren't a good team, and they're above 500. It's just crazy. Like how he's like him and Mathurin, along with all their other role players. It's just like even when teams try to tank, the people who like suck, like they're pretty good now. So like. It's hard, and Halliburton's like elevating his whole team. So
the Pacers have interesting players in general. Like I know they're like you said. I don't think the average NBA fan is tuning into the Indiana Pacers, but I mean they're fun to watch. All right, I got 2 names.
Wait
for you.
Improved?
Yep. Not necessarily. I think they're better than SGA, but just to mention, Lauri Markkanen. Right?
Definitely.
I guess.
Dude, definitely.
I mean, best player on Utah Jazz. Where's that guy been? I mean, any team would love to have him on his team right now.
Right.
And Gary's boy,
Bull. That's who I
Dude,
thought you were gonna
Bull's
say
going
when
off.
you said Tyrese Halliburton.
But-
Yeah, but Bull, man.
But I was watching the Magic game yesterday, and they didn't even have it in. They didn't even play in the last 6 minutes. I was
I
like, what the
get you.
heck? So
Yeah, it's
But-
it's odd. I don't know. Their systems, maybe he doesn't like finish out games well, or Denver had him on the bench like most of the time when it seemed like he could have put up productive minutes for them. I don't get it.
He has
It's-
always put up numbers. Like I
Yeah,
said, in Oregon, he got hurt. He played like 16 games.
I
Go
got
look
you.
at his stats at Oregon. He was insane. And then every time he plays, he puts up insane numbers. It's just hard. I don't think he has a position, and he probably doesn't play good D. I don't know. I don't watch him that much. It's probably hard to match him up with
I know.
someone.
I get all these highlight reels,
He's-
and I should watch full games, but
no, but yeah, but I think that's also like if this was the old most improved, he would definitely be a top candidate. But now since it's okay to give it to like starters, it's
Yeah.
like before. I feel like my whole life growing up, it was never like a starters award, and now that John Morant got that, I just feel like it just opened up the
should
floodgates.
go.
So-
Well, yeah. Then SGA, but Laurie, man, that's a good. I wasn't even thinking of him, but he kind of came out hot this year. So
Or used to go to someone maybe coming off an injury too. I feel like when we were growing up, maybe a little.
yeah.
yeah. See
And
somebody
SGA
improved
though was
off
injured.
of it.
Like SGA was injured last year, so I
got
mean
you.
that's relevant.
Yeah, still very true. And they're playing better without their number 2 draft pick. So
That's another squad to keep your eye on. They still got a ton of draft picks.
Oh, but yeah, that sums up this
dude,
edition
praise race.
of the praise race. It was awesome
Awesome.
being a part of it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Thank you for joining us. It was very, very cool having you as our first celebrity guest. You are a very knowledgeable man. so
Set
we
the bar, my
appreciate it.
friend. All right, the next segment is titled Current Events. So we're going to take a look at the most monumental performances and stories within the last month. Let's start this off with Gary's boy, Joel Embiid, who's had 2 different 50-spot games. The second one was last week, 53 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. His season stats as of right now, 33 points per game, 9.7 rebounds, let's say 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1.5 blocks. Definitely an MVP candidate.
Has to be a candidate.
All right, next one is AD. AD MVP. So AD went out last night. As you know, he's going to be in my injury report. But prior to that, let me give you his last 6 games. 44 and 10, 55 and 17. He was sick. He left that game in the first quarter, so I didn't put those stats in there. 31-12, 34 and 15, 37 and 12. So those are pretty damn good numbers.
Dude, his averaging like almost 30 points and 15 rebounds on a regular basis is also MVP worthy.
I want to talk about Trae Young and Nate McMillan. You know, it's kind of weird. So a couple games ago, he wasn't on the bench. Then he said he was hurt at the press conference, but we don't know the injury. And then if you're hurt, why can't you be on the bench?
Yeah, and some of his players, his teammates, are even leaning towards McMillan as their guy that they're, I guess, siding with.
Yeah, he got fined $25,000 for throwing a ball in the stands the other day.
And he basically came out to say, "Oh, what? I can't do that." It's like, dude, no. Like, honestly, no. Like, since when can you be an idiot on the court?
All right, so final question for this
Yes, Matt.
part. Can the Hawks win a championship with Trae Young as their best player?
No.
No. He gone. All right, injuries. Cade Cunningham. Sorry, boys. Shin surgery.
for
Puts
the
him into the tanking category. Luckily, he's young. It's not a serious thing. He'll be okay.
It's true.
Maybe they'll have Wembyana with him.
You know what? Honestly, I'm thinking, and I'm not going to say it this way, but it's a great excuse
Say
to
it
tank.
this way.
To
I'm thinking it.
tank. I mean, Adam Silver came out to be like, "I'm going to punish teams that tank for Wembanyama," but then you go out with a season injury. You're in the tank race then.
Right. You know, the doc maybe could have brought him back, but instead he got a season-ending injury. It's not his fault.
Yeah, he was averaging 26 and 6.
I'd let him rest.
All right, next injury, Steph just went out. Apparently he's going to avoid surgery, and he will miss, quote, a few weeks, end quote. So let's say 10 to 20 games. At the end of that, will they be in the play-in?
Well, the depth on the Golden State Warriors is hurting right now, but we've talked about it. Jordan Poole, time to step up, dude. You're more efficient when you're in the starting lineup. These 10 games or whatever that you're missing Steph are going to be crucial for you to show up right now.
Kuminga and Moody too.
Yeah.
And Wiseman, I don't even know if he can play. But
is he up or down?
they brought him back up.
They brought him back up. That's right.
Okay, and last one. AD left the Denver game with a right foot injury. I know Laker fans, you were just waiting for the moment. And every time he goes down, I cringe, but it actually happened. I don't know. Let's assume that it's not that bad. How does this affect the Lakers?
Can we take a moment of silence for AD first?
Yes.
Long enough.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad because AD was finally emerging as Lakers' best player.
Agreed. I think we've been waiting for him to do that, to be the number one, because if LeBron's your number two, that's a pretty damn good team. And he was there. I think he heard everyone, all the rumblings. He worked hard in the offseason, but hate to say it, I mean, this happens every time he plays. He gets hurt every single time. So I hope it's minor as a Laker fan, but I'm not.
Right. Actually, and you say it does happen every time he plays, except last year it seemed to happen every 10 games. At least it's happening every 20 games now. Like we're stretching out how much he can play. So maybe he'll be back quicker now that he has new health staff and stuff like that.
Eventually, Grant Hill made it through a whole season.
Hey, Derrick Rose. Hey.
All right, next one is all right, did anyone catch Sierra Canyon, Christ the King with Bronny and all of that?
100%.
Amen. Yeah, we did.
None of you two went though. There's no way you two got tickets.
Oh, got tickets? No, like I
was
tried.
invited.
I actually was talking to one of the Kardashians, and they almost let me in.
What'd you guys think? Who stood out to you?
You know what? Honestly, the two Bronny was impressive to see him play a very smart game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what those teams. I mean, this isn't. It's not like real high school basketball, and I'm not dogging the teams. Those teams had probably 9 or 10 D1 guys on the team, so it's just hard because there's so much movement with those teams. Every year there's new players on those teams. But I agree, Bronny looks bigger, aggressive, but he's not necessarily featured. But it's not really his fault. Like you put Bronny on a normal high school team, he averages 30 a game.
Right. Yeah, I know. We are looking at a farm
right.
system right
You're
now,
looking
basically.
at a college elite, right?
Yeah, and these guys are going straight into either the G League or a D1 school, and so we're watching basically college basketball at that point.
And Kyan Anthony's a sophomore, and he looked like 6'5", 165, dripping wet. But he looks decent, but he's a sophomore. He's like 15 or 16 years old.
Right, I know. Yeah, and it's wild
Sierra
to see
Canyon
those guys
had a
develop.
little guy.
Oh, they had a
that
tiny
was
guy that
really
was
good.
scrappy. Yeah, no kidding.
The guy that stood out to me, the Sierra Canyon's junior, Isaiah Elohim, he was the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
He's got 17. He missed last year with ACL tear. And so he's
But that was
back.
their tall guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
and he's a good player.
was outstanding in the middle. That was something to watch.
All right. And then lastly, just wanted to throw out the Christmas lineup, and then I'm going to ask these two guys which matchup they're looking forward to the most. So on Christmas, it's a famous NBA day. First game is Philly versus New York Knicks. Second game, Lakers at Dallas. Third game, Milwaukee at Boston. Fourth game, Memphis at a Steph Curry-less Golden State Warriors. And then last but not least, Phoenix and Denver. What are you guys looking forward to the most?
Lakers.
Lakers television. If it's Christmas,
not because it's the best matchup or anything, just because. But
Well, it's midday. It's like perfect on Christmas. You're like, on meal 3 by then. I think it's a perfect time.
wait, who is their matchup again?
Dallas. At Dallas.
Hey, I'm a little bored by it. Who is Celtics again?
Celtics and Milwaukee in Boston.
You know what? For me, that's the game to
probably
watch.
The best matchup.
That's our 2:00 game too on the West Coast.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go Celtics Milwaukee, but of course I'm gonna tune into Lakers.
Yeah, the two I want to watch, Lakers and Dallas, just from being a homer, and then I think Milwaukee, Boston, Phoenix, Denver could be spicy depending on what you're doing that day at 7:30.
And Grizzlies are playing the
Grizzlies
Warriors?
are playing the Warriors at 5.
I got you.
It's kind of dinner time.
I love watching the Grizzlies play, and I don't like watching Golden State hurt. So I'm hoping that Steph's out, right, for that game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, then we're probably looking at a one-sided game in that.
But it's a good lineup.
Yeah, overall, a solid day of basketball, but go Lakers.
All right, so that's it for current events. This will be a reoccurring segment, so we'll see you next month for current events.
All right, that's it. That concludes our premiere podcast episode for Baller Nerds.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Gary, can you hold my calls from all the fans after this? I got stuff to do.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. No, sorry. I'm actually on a press junket right after this, so like hopefully I can keep the screaming little ones away from you.
Catch y'all in January.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.